I think I want to start with like a short presentation reflecting on what we've been covering in this course so far. And like we'll look at what we covered. And I wanted to connect it somehow, what we covered in lectures, with practical assignments that you've been working on. So then hopefully by the end of this short kind of overview, you'll see how what you're learning fits into the much bigger picture of virtual reality research and current developments in industry and the entire field. So where do we fit with this course in there? So kind of like that. So let's see. We've been learning about virtual reality, right? So you've been learning from lectures and you've been doing assignments, and you probably noticed that we're learning of virtual reality as a whole field, right? Not just as one tool and how to work in it. And virtual reality as a field is really big. It's so big that many institutions around the world, for example, their virtual reality is just not just one course, it's an entire program. In fact, we are talking about developing programs in virtual reality with my colleagues. So it's something that is done in other institutions. And if you look at your textbook, so Steve's textbook, then you can think of each chapter could be practically a course, an individual course. So our textbook reflects that situation in the field, that there's a lot of pieces to this huge field as a whole. And what we covered in lectures so far, so we covered hardware and optics, right? Kind of an overview, 3D modeling software. In your practical assignments, you've done some Unity programming. Then in lectures also, you covered neuroscience and physiology of human vision, and not audio yet, but the comfort and best practices in VR, and rendering and tracking. So that's where we are right now. So that's the lecture side, right? It's very broad and very theoretical. And at the same time, the assignments are much more practical. So you can see, first of all, you've been tasked with hands-on development in Unity, like the room assignment, right? And then you might feel a bit of disconnect between this big picture in lectures and the very limited exercises that we have for you in assignments. And I wanted you to actually reflect on that and realize that you're right. There is a big gap. So there's a big gap between what the VR community knows what VR can be and the infrastructures we actually have today in VR. So, so I hope you are developing this view of virtual reality as this big picture with researchers working actively, in many different parts of virtual reality field, working actively on understanding this big picture of what VR can be and what we actually have in terms of hardware and VR infrastructure and like software and applications. So there is a big gap, and I hope you realize that. So, and today in this little overview that I have, I wanted to understand what is the core reason for this gap, or the core reason of this disconnect between lectures and practice. And I want to argue in the next couple of slides that the disconnect comes from hardware. So the hardware is the biggest bottleneck. And you can argue with me, okay? So you're welcome to raise your hand and tell me that you agree or disagree, or put anything in comments. So let's think about it. So let's talk a little bit of VR hardware that we have today. So when we look at the best modern VR headsets, there's some impressive pieces here, right? So Meta Quest 3, Apple Vision Pro, so what do we have? Meta Quest 3S, PlayStation VR 2, right? So those are really advanced pieces of hardware, right? But the issue, I hope you know, I hope some of you tried VR experiences in these devices, and the issue is pretty clear for those who have used them. So the issue with these headsets is that they are expensive. So that's one issue right here on the slide, right? You see the prices. And then they're also heavy. They're not necessarily very comfortable. So they get really hot. You feel sweaty. So it's there are issues. When we give demos in these devices in high-end HMDs, we're usually not very excited looking forward to these demos because again, we'll be sharing these devices between people and they get hot and sweaty, and that's just not comfortable. And what's interesting is that since Palmer's Lucky first Oculus prototype, headsets they did get more advanced, so they are impressive pieces of engineering, but they also got heavier and more costly. So they're more expensive. So you can look at this. Actually, I looked it up. It's 2025, the best VR headsets, but they're kind of the same as last year. So that's a problem, right? Because what this is an obstacle for having many VR developers develop VR applications at scale, just because these devices are expensive. So here's an example of a teardown of Oculus Quest, MetaQuest 3, and one of the original DK2 hardware teardown. And what's interesting is that what's inside really didn't change much since the early prototype by Palmer Luckey. So there are still like the same pieces of hardware like cameras, IMUs, displays, and lenses. So not much changed, but what got better is that these devices became standalone. There's much more custom electronics that comes into it. There's maybe some ergonomic issues that have been solved, but the problem is still fundamentally there, that these devices are heavy and expensive. And one very important part of it is that none of these devices are actually good for the human vision system. So you know that from lectures that none of these devices, including the original Palmer Luckey prototype, so here it is, which was very cheap and very lightweight. But fundamentally, they all have this problem of vergence accommodation mismatch, right? So they are fundamentally wrong for our vision system. And nobody knows what it even means in the long term. Does it affect our vision system? Does it harm our vision system? So fundamentally, they're all wrong from that point of view. And the most recent devices are also more expensive, right? So, And this slide, I really like this slide because just looking at this slide at adoption rates for VR hardware versus other tech, right? So I'm comparing how many VR headsets have been sold per year in recent years worldwide, comparing that to tablets and PCs and smartphones that have been sold. So around the world, there are about 35 million of VR headsets right now, with about 14 million projection to be sold per year of VR hardware, VR headsets. So this seems a lot, right? Sounds big. But if you compare it to tablets, about 142 million a year by tablets, and about 70 million a year of PCs being sold. And so that's much bigger, almost a magnitude more than VR headsets. And then you look at the phones, and we have 1.5 billion smartphones sold a year, right? So this demonstrates, just these numbers demonstrate that VR headsets are a niche and not really a mass market device, right? So what does this mean in terms of education, of virtual VR education and VR infrastructure development? What does it mean? It means that we cannot really educate people at scale. with VR headsets that are being sold, and we cannot really hope to build infrastructure for VR, something to do their VR applications at scale either. So hardware is the main bottleneck, and it's not only for education. Like, you can't educate VR developers if there's no headsets to develop on, like if they're very little. So that's I think this slide kind of gives a motivation, or maybe even hope, because clearly there's a challenge presented, but also hope of what can be do about it. So clearly hardware is a bottleneck, but our solution for this course was to, instead of relying on these expensive and heavy headsets, we use smartphones, right? So you develop on your smartphones and you use simple cardboards. And smartphones are really everywhere. So billions of people use them, right? So that means we can scale up education to all of these people. Or at least we can hope to provide VR applications to billions of people while developing on our phones, right? So that's really positive. That's something positive about our course, which is pretty unique in what I know. So you're doing some great things because you're developing something that you can illustrate to billions of people because they have phones, right? And they can buy a cheap cardboard and try it, and try this VR applications that you develop. So what's good about cardboards, that they're cheap and they're accessible. So everybody with a smartphone can buy a cardboard easily, almost everybody. And there's also other positives about it. There are no meta passwords, upgrades, logins. Like, everybody who worked with Oculus Quests know that this is actually a big problem with the high-end HMDs there. What are the disadvantages of cardboards? Of course, we know that it's only 3 degrees of freedom, right? There's low resolution, fewer interactions, so that's a big problem. However, for educational purposes, it's pretty enough. It's sufficient to create some meaningful simulations, especially since we taught you about some tricks on how to implement teleportation, how to add object interactions. So all of that you have in your Twister's homework, right? So you can even grab objects. So it's really cool. So this course is a step forward to developing the virtual reality infrastructure while we wait for the hardware, the headsets hardware, to catch up with what we see, what we know VR should be, right? So this is kind of the idea. I will not talk much about VR software, but that's also not ideal. So we talked about hardware being a bottleneck, but software, maybe it's not equal bottleneck, but it's still not ideal, because what do we have in terms of software where we can develop this infrastructure that we want for virtual reality? Well, the best tool is always cited as Unity, the best tool for developing VR applications. It's Unity, right? But what is the easiest to set up in Unity? The first-person shooter game, right? So the Unity is a gaming engine that was designed to make easy to develop games for desktops. So it's not the primary tool for developing virtual reality applications. What we need is really specific virtual reality engine versus gaming on desktop engine. I like to think of it as that designing virtual reality experiences in Unity, they're fundamentally wrong, because we as humans, we don't spend most of our days walking, right? We do many other things, like we sit, we read, we talk, we write, we think, we imagine, right? Daydream. So all of those would be nice to capture in virtual reality experiences, but we can't do that yet. Let's see, I have some messages. Let me see. Okay, yes. So that's good. Okay, so then Now I want to finish this overview of where does our course fit and why are we learning it and motivation behind it. I want to finish it with aligning virtual reality developments, what we know about it, with AI developments and what we know about it, to see it as an opportunity. So what if I pose a question, how helpful is AI to overcome the challenges that we just discussed? The challenges of wrong hardware, maybe wrong software, and no infrastructure, no applications widely used. So how helpful is AI? That's a good question, right? I went to ChatGPT and asked it exactly that question. I asked, like, how can you help? How can AI tools help today with VR development? And it was pretty modest answer. Look at this. It says, yeah, sure, I can, or AI tools can help auto-generate 3D environments which are static. So it can easily help you generate static 3D shapes, environments, props, textures, whatever. That's good. What it cannot do is to help you with developing novel interactions or any interactions. So grabbing objects, touching objects. So any kind of objects that are moving in any kind of realistic way. So realistic behaviors, or how things would respond when you throw them or touch them or interact with them in any other way. So that data simply does not exist, and therefore AI cannot help you with it because there's no data. So this presents a huge opportunity because you will be the ones who will be building this. And this course is helping you with doing that, right? Creating new applications with some fun interactions, with something to do there in your applications, and AI cannot help. So you'll be creating these interactive VR environments. And so you are the future, and your development are the future that then AI can, of course, use to help further develop these things. But without your work, AI cannot do anything because there is no data. So this is the right moment for it, because essentially this VR development is a field that is wide open. It's not saturated with anything, with no data there yet. So that's really cool. A demonstration of how AI is not very helpful with any kind of modeling of motions or dynamic models. So here's an example of AI hallucination. So I went again to ChatGPT. I put this picture of one of your quiz questions. So there's Steve pointing this way, looking this way, and I just ask what transformation will take Steve from here to here. And it's complete nonsense. The answer is complete nonsense. So it wants to move Steve this way and then rotate this way, which would orient Steve completely wrong. And then when I call AI on it, so I actually can show you this interactions, 3D modeling in AI. Is it this one or course? Let's see. Yeah, this one here. So I said, why are you using Unity if these are not Unity coordinate system, right? This is a right-hand coordinate system, but the answer is like, oh, you can put this in Unity and it will work. And then it says, oh yeah, excellent catch, you're right. The screenshots you uploaded is right-handed coordinate system and Unity is left-handed coordinate system. So this was all wrong, which, I saw that. So again, let's go back to my slides. So this really presents this opportunity. AI is very dumb at this point, modeling this 3D motions of objects in 3D. And you will be the future, right? So you are starting in the field that is not saturated and you can make meaningful contributions, right? And all you have to do is to learn this math, which is not easy, but 3D math is your friend. And we teach you in this course with that. And then you can when you learn that, you learn quaternions. It's a little hard, yes, but then you outperform AI right away. And you know now that if you think AI is smart in some field, that means you cannot get a job in that field because AI is better. but you can only get a job in something that you see that AI is dumb. And this is your opportunity. So I want to argue that we shouldn't be scared of AI and we should really embrace virtual reality because that's where the jobs can be created. And this is something that where you can have a real contribution to, and it's fun too. So to finish this up, I wanted to show you a video. Let me grab this link here of my daughter playing a VR.
Box by box, uncover the key. No key. Party time.
Twisters. She's doing twisters.
Oh, let me.
So I hope you can see that how she interacted with the boxes by using twisters. This is a VR escape room that we develop as a demo of what can be done in a cardboard. So she's using a cardboard. She's super excited because it's extremely interactive. She doesn't have to use the gaze interaction, so she uses twists of her head. And what she can do was remove those boxes.
Kick the ball across the floor.
She will be kicking.
Get it in. Unlock the door.
So
she's over here.
She's kicking the ball.
Goal.
She can open the door. Okay. She's there.
Toss it all through the hole. That's the way to reach your goal. Okay.
So she can walk, she can grab objects and throw them in the hole, and that's how she escapes this room. And so there's many.
Okay, I'm picking up these things.
Clever ways of escape.
The table's pretty heavy. And the chair is not so heavy. Now I got it.
Now she's there.
An image may hold countless tales, but only a patient eye will uncover its secret. Look closely, and the unseen will come to light. Okay.
Here the gaze covers
yes.
the code.
Okay, the code is
and then
107.
You can put the code to open the door, and so on and so forth. So there's lots of rooms. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I do, and I know we tested it on many kids, Rosie's friends. We have like demos in their schools with this fun games in cardboards, and the kids are super excited, which proves the point that we can create something very meaningful, something fun, and bring it to billions of people with phones. And I hope you guys in this class will create such games, because I want to try them on my daughter and her friends as well. So please do that. Okay, so that's all. So now I think I was told that I have 20 minutes to talk, and then we can have some questions and answers. So let's do that.
Thank you, Professor Anna, for the nice overview on the video, last video. And I hope our students get a hands-on experience playing this game, just like what we did last time, isn't it?
We can send it. We can send it to you. Yes, right. Of course. I didn't think.
Let everybody play it and then come up with more ideas for interaction. In fact, from the last year class, one of the students is doing an experiment to quantify how effective this is compared to existing interaction in AR, VR. So that experiment he is currently doing it. As soon as he finished collecting the data, and we will analyze it, and we will send the data to you also. Let us jointly analyze it and then publish the work. We are all excited about this. Thank you for the wonderful session. Students, please ask questions. Professor Rana will be very happy to answer.
Hello, may I go ahead?
Yes, please. Hello? Go ahead. Yes, please. Amit, go ahead.
Let me just adjust my camera.
Yeah, please. Nice to see faces. Especially since I miss India so much, so I'll see a little bit of India window here.
Okay, I think there's a camera glitch. So let me just ask
Yeah,
you the
No
okay,
questions.
issues,
okay.
no
I'm
issues.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Thank you for taking my question. I wanted to ask you about the different ways in which our brain processes video and audio information. For instance, we know that the brain can fill in missing information when there is a video glitch, missing frames and such. But it seems to me that when it comes to audio, we are very sensitive even of the slightest glitch. So does that mean our brain is tends to overlook video problems, but cannot seem to overlook with audio problems? And if that is indeed the case, what does it mean for a VR experience? Is good sound design the factor that can make or break a good VR experience?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think it depends on what you define by glitch,
Well,
because
in
we are
terms,
much more tuned to visual information than audio information. So there's a lot of things, a lot of optical illusions, but there's also a lot of audio illusions
well, may
that,
I clarify?
yeah.
So if there are missing frames or a brightness issue or standard definition, high definition issue, we tend to slightly overlook that issue, that problem. But when it comes to audio, even a missing audio or a inappropriate audio, very high volume, very low volume, we tend to notice it immediately. So it seems to me that our brain is not very open to, if you will, overlooking audio issues as it is with video issues.
Hmm. I think it's a very general statement,
Yes.
and I would disagree with it, because maybe you're thinking of some particular examples of when we notice when it's really loud, but you would notice if it was too bright, as well,
Yeah.
and it
Uh,
would be really
yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. If I can add to Professor Anna, I would
Yeah.
say that every sensory system has a different sampling rate. For example, visual, it needs at least 30 or 40 hertz to fuse two different frames to one, into continuous one, right? Haptics, our sense of touch, needs about 500 hertz, right, to fuse continuous taps into uh, uh, the constant force kind of thing, right? Similarly, audio has a much higher sampling rate in terms of the kilohertz, right? So there, any drop in the sensitivity is very very high, right?
Okay.
Therefore, or therefore, any glitch what you define, yeah, drop in the frame are easily sensible. That is because our sampling rate is very very high in the auditory system.
Mhm.
Right. And Professor Mariman, I have a small follow-up since you're here
Sure.
for the haptic element. Now, I don't think I will ever be able to design a haptic element for my VR experience, but what happens when in a VR experience you are seeing something and the haptic feedback is of something else? As in, if you're holding a sphere, you're seeing that you're holding a sphere and you're experiencing a cube. If there's an incorrect haptic feedback, what happens in that
Yes.
circumstance?
Yeah, we have done some experiments confusing the brain. Okay, visually we'll give some information, some cues, and haptically give you some other information. Auditorily, some other information. So finally, we wanted to find out what cues that the brain actually takes it. So we did experiment combining only two modalities, for example, visual and haptics. Surprisingly, visual takes predominance. Whatever we see is what we believe.
Okay.
Okay. In terms of the auditory and haptics, Again, auditory takes a predominance. Okay, haptics takes a predominance in very specific circumstances. It predominates over the visual or auditory. Okay, so you are very correct. So the brain is processing all this information. How it is processing, it is still a mysterious question. And no, some of you probably in the future will be able to show some light, throw some light, and still an active research area. And in our lab, we are actually conducting some experiment where we confuse brain with all the visual, auditory, and haptic in a different way, and we are conducting studies. You will be very happy to when you maybe when you visit IIT campus, you can see all these experiments by yourself.
Thank you, sir. In fact, my question was about the hierarchy of visual,
Senses.
audio, and yes,
Yes.
yes. Thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to add to the illusions for mismatched vision and haptics to show this very famous rubber hand illusion. If you don't mind, I can share it so that we all enjoy it. Is
Please,
that
yes.
okay?
It'll
Yeah.
be very nice. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, let me do that. So let's see here, share sound. So that's a very famous one.
So it looks like it's your own.
Okay.
Okay, could you imagine that being your own hand, kinda?
Yep.
What we're gonna do is we're going to stroke your fingers simultaneously, the rubber finger and your real finger, and hopefully this will convince you that the rubber hand is your own, that your brain will actually adopt this hand.
In the illusion, simply watching the rubber hand being stroked at the same time as the
Is it
real
happening again?
hand is enough
Little
to
bit.
trick the brain into adopting it as its own.
We like weird. And slowly but surely, you should feel that the hand you're looking at is actually part.
So, yeah, that's a very famous illusion. So essentially the brain will adopt the rubber hand as your own, and then in the end, I don't know where exactly in this video, it's pretty long, but in the end they smash the rubber hand, and that is very powerful. So people really think that it's their hand that's being smashed, and they have a really strong reaction. So that's a very interesting one. And,
So
yeah, and we had it in VR, by the way. Some of my students did implement it in virtual reality and with the same effect. So that's really fun.
yes. Virtual reality is I think there is an echo. Can somebody switch off this? Okay, so virtual reality provides a very nice platform to confuse the brain and conduct these experiments. Okay, so one of our experiments is that showing one virtual spring, a hard or soft spring, but haptically, when they feel it, it is the other way around. So if it is a visually soft spring, but a haptically hard spring, or if a visually hard spring, haptically soft spring. Okay, so this way when we confuse it, and finally we ask the subjects what they finally perceive, looks like the visual modality takes a predominance. Okay, so virtual reality system is much more than creating a 3D environment and then creating something for training or entertainment and all these things. Even as a research tool, it's a very powerful tool. Researchers like me, it is a wonderful tool. We are actually enjoying this virtual reality, tools. I hope some of you also will be able to experience this as a research tool instead of just a toy or whatever it is. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. It helps us understand our own brain, right? It's a reverse engineering our own brain by showing some illusions and learning how our brain then works, right? So that's a very powerful tool indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Amit said, I feel VR has a great utility in professional training, global exploration, distance education. And yeah, alleviating physical and psychological trauma. There's a lot of research how people who were paralyzed start walking due to the, so it's a therapy in virtual reality that connects the visual system with the legs again, and helping them feel a little bit of regain sensations in their legs and some motion. Yeah. So a lot of therapies like that. Any more questions? Anybody's brave enough?
I
May I
have
go
a,
ahead?
yeah, Javan, yeah, please go ahead, Heaven. Who was
Go
asking?
ahead, Ravan. Go ahead.
Lavan, go ahead. Okay, while Lavan is getting ready, I have a question, Professor Anna. This is about the course. So, all our students are doing the quiz and assignment very well, but unfortunately, they are taking advantage of ChatGPT and AI tools. Okay, so the main purpose of giving a quiz is that they learn and they start thinking, and then they answering without looking at the references and all these things. So in this era of AI and ChatGPT and perplexity, right? So we wanted to see how do we enable learning in this environment. If you have any ideas, will be very useful.
Well, yeah, we talk with my colleagues. We always discuss the effects of the current AI disruption on our society, on the way we do our job as educators, and on also on what happens to students that we graduate, right? So we teach you, we educate you on some topics, and then what seems to be happening worldwide is that young professionals, young software engineers have difficulty entering the career ladder, right? So they have AI disrupted many things, but also the career ladder, where young professionals would enter their careers from some junior positions. But right now, more senior managers, why would they need to hire some junior professionals, junior software engineers, if they can just take advantage of ChatGPT to create better programs, possibly, right? So that's why I want you, students in our course, to be extremely careful with using ChatGPT. If you don't know the answers to questions and ChatGPT does, that means you are not good enough to get a job in this field, right? So you are not doing yourself service by using ChatGPT and avoiding learning, because then you cannot be hired. ChatGPT will be hired instead of you. So I really always want you to think about that, especially in this field that we are teaching right now in this course about virtual reality, where there is a real opportunity to learn something that ChatGPT doesn't know yet. Of course, maybe ChatGPT is good at answering our quiz questions. That's great. But without answering those quiz questions by yourself, you will not get the big picture of virtual reality or these subjects, and you will not learn then how to improve it or what's wrong with it. So that's my answer. Like, just be extremely wary of not learning and allowing ChatGPT answer your questions, because then you're not learning and you have this
Yeah, you have
potential
nailed the
problem.
you have nailed the answer. I think without making mistake, we cannot learn. So let us make mistakes and then learn.
Yeah.
Only by making mistakes we can actually learn. So be wary of using the ChatGPT. It's a powerful tool, but use it when it's really needed. Not
Make
like
sure you really learn, like it's
yes,
also there, because
yes.
you then can be hired, right? You can get a job then. Otherwise, ChatGPT is just swallowing many jobs, many jobs. It's not only in Finland, it's not only in India, it's in the US. In fact, with my colleagues, I know of, and my former colleagues from American institutions, I know that they're sitting right now, as we speak, scratching their heads how to reshuffle the entire education program so that they don't teach something that is trivial for ChatGPT right now. So they're changing their programs, and virtual reality is going to stay there in the programs because it's something that ChatGPT is not as good, or AI tools are not as good. So, so that I know for sure, and that's why this is a really good course to really learn. So don't use ChatGPT, learn. That's my answer. And I think last time we had this discussion of bringing a problem that AI will not answer properly. I found it. See, I put it in my slides. Did you guys work on that? Did you find something that AI is not good at? And what
Yes.
would that be? I want you to get a feeling of what kind of problems it's not good at.
Maybe it can't like solve every piece of problem what a human does, and uh, and it cannot be correct by 100%. Like we cannot be sure that AI can be 100% every time.
No,
I mean that's the point.
it can hallucinate, yeah. And I want you to get a feeling when that happens. So that happens when there is actually no data that humans collected and put on the web for free before. So for example, like I said, I gave you an example of 3D transformations it's not so good at, right? But also we were watching some show with Steve, and we really wanted to find out what's going to be we didn't see the last episode, but we wanted to have a spoiler, and the last episode was aired on Friday morning, right? So on Friday afternoon we could not watch it, but I wanted to ask ChatGPT or find on the web what is it about. So I wanted a spoiler, and I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me a completely wrong plot. It hallucinated confidently, completely wrong story, because later in the day we watched that episode. So again, the answer is when there is no data, it will hallucinate some nonsense, and there's no way to know. But you will know if you are learning about the field and have and know better. So, okay. Please go ahead, ask more questions, because yeah,
Yeah.
this is a topic we can talk forever, which is important, of course. But go ahead.
Uh, Hello again. I'd like to know how age. I'd like to know how age affects the gelatinous matrix of hair cells that convert acceleration into neural signals. Does it get worse with age, or does it? What happens? Are we not able to sense acceleration and movement that accurately as we are in our youth?
In vestibular system. I don't know the answer to that question, but I know that I have a vestibular system disorder, probably not due to the age, but maybe. So I don't know. Really very good question, something to look up, but maybe Professor Manivana knows. Do we have worse? So does our sense of balance age? That's the question, right?
Yes. Literature shows that it is aging, but it depends upon how well we are practicing it. I know the very aged people, they are very good balance because they maintain it very well. Anything that is underused, it will decay. So it is tend to decay. Therefore, if you want to if you want to have a nice balance in your old age, and do a lot of balancing now itself.
Good point.
Continuously do it. Yes. Okay.
Use it or
So
lose it.
yes. So our human system is highly adaptive. It has very little resources, and then it wants to now spend all the resources where it is needed. It's highly optimistic, right? If something is not using it, then the resources are taken from that particular department and then given to another department where it is actually used. It's a highly optimistic, optimized system. Therefore, now if you want to stay healthy now in your old age, then you do now keep using all your systems in place, or keep exercising it, or whatever it is.
Thank you.
Including the
Okay.
brain.
Including the
Yeah,
brain,
so
yes.
don't use ChatGPT.
Yes, right. And use a ChatGPT. Yes, right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like no pain, no gain, right? You have to
Yes.
maintain it. Even for maintaining, no pain, no gain. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. But it's a very difficult advice for me personally and for my husband, Steve. So he had a virus that caused vestibular neuritis. So the part of the nerve is destroyed. So has forever dizziness. So it's really hard then it's very hard, but still very important, of course, to practice balance, not to lose whatever's left. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Again, so Amit said that he has to watch videos on eye, ear, brain multiple times to digest all of the new information. And this is really like physiology 101, right? So, as I said, that all of these little topics that we cover, they just like a little peek into the entire field that are massive and all relevant to virtual reality. May I request other participants to also ask questions? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, right. Even I
please.
have a question. Actually, I'm a second year student uh, who's doing engineering right now. Please see my
Okay.
screen. I have a question is AI is just ruining all the world, replacing jobs of every employee. So how about we study more in depth about the AI and we have more smarter ways? Means we can answer any questions than AI, than what AI can answer. Like
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say is we are going to be like learn more in depth AI and we're going to be way more smarter than AI. That's what humans are trying to aim for, like jobs.
well, there is fundamental limitations of what these language models can do, right? So it's very important to learn about AI to understand its limitations, and there is fundamental limitation. It will not be able to ever to extrapolate, and that's what science is, extrapolation. It's giving you answers based on data that's available. And if there's no data, how are you going to extrapolate away? How are you going to invent something that there's no data for? How are you going to invent, the new quaternions even, or a new math if there is no data? So there's fundamental limitation to what AI can do. So yes, I would say go take classes on AI to understand that. And then there's two paths. You can improve AI as much as possible so it doesn't hallucinate. At least it says, okay, I don't have data on this, so my answers are only 50% correct. That is a valuable knowledge, right? So that's good. But I would just say that it's very important that we all admit that AI is not more than an improved Google search. That's all, right?
Exactly. Yes. So AI is nothing more than the Google search, right?
Nothing.
So what AR is, AR, what in this course we are talking about is we are adding eyes to the AI. We are adding ears. We are adding hands, smell, and the nose. So the perceptual system is what we are adding to the AI. Without the perceptual system, the AI alone is not going to be useful. There is a fundamental limit, like what Professor Anna was saying it, right? So although people are talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence, all these things that we are talking about in 20 years or 40 years, that again is going to be fundamentally limited. Without this, all this perceptual system, it is not going to be very much useful. So therefore, no, it is very important to learn AR VR in full no, attention, and then combine with the AI probably wherever it is needed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, you can't avoid saying that you can't say that no XR is not going to be useful or whatever. So it is going to be useful. Without this, AI is not going to be very useful. Okay.
Yes,
So
I agree with that.
right, sure.
And basically, ma'am, what I'm trying to say is, like, even in, if you see in this engineering colleges, they also depend on AI for everything, like, say, for exams or assignments also. Even for homework also, they use AI. And in the third year also, I mean, we're gonna learn about VR again. So why don't we just join an NPTEL course? I was like, I'll just join an NPTEL course and learn about this VR before we study about this thing in the college. Okay.
Which college are you in?
Sir, RV College in Bangalore.
Oh, RV College in Bangalore. Very good. So, yeah, RV College teachers, I think they have taken our course earlier, and they will teach you again the same thing probably. No,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Third year education.
Okay,
Yeah.
And yeah,
Okay.
that's it from my side. Yeah.
very good. Yeah, sure. You can add lot more now information when you learn the now VR course. Now you are ready, isn't it? You should be able to add lot of value to the course which you are going to study in the third year. All right,
I
that's a
mean,
challenge for you.
yeah, yes, sir.
Very good,
Actually, I belong to like electrical department, so I have to take this course as
very good.
because
Yeah, sure.
I'm actually good at mathematics. I got 100 in board exam, 12th board
Okay,
exam. So
very good, very
I
good.
and because I was so confusing about coding, so I took electrical because there'll be so much maths in that. So
Yeah, sure, sure.
and I joined with that. And
Yeah,
with that, VR is also a simple course, so it's very interesting also. So I joined it.
okay, sure. We'll give you a little more difficult problem if you think it is very simple. Okay.
Plenty of difficult
Yeah,
problems
I
here.
will make it difficult. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Bye.
So there's a question. Does overexposure to VR affect your normal vision because you get used to what that kind of perception? Mm, yes. So that's a very good question. Like this is a question that we could spend an entire lecture or more, right? Because it touches up on a very important issue that we ultimately don't know, right, Professor Manuan? Do we
Yeah.
have the answer to that question?
Yes, so we can develop many different level of courses. For example, now we already have one haptics course, one psychophysics course, and one game and no, yeah, game development
Yeah.
course we are starting now. So I think hardware, focusing on a hardware can be another course, entire
Yeah.
course. So
Optics, just optics.
optics, yes, that is itself is
Or
again a course,
just
or
optics.
HCI, human computer interaction, that itself is a separate course. So this particular NPTEL course, what we are dealing is in a mixture of the basic foundation we are laying. Over this, we
Yeah.
can build many floors of what do you call building. I don't know how many floors we can, how much ever
Yeah. Yeah.
possible we can build it. There's so much stuffs to do. But we wanted to see that the foundation is very strong. And that's where now we all, now Professor Anna, Professor Steve, and we all now laying the emphasis on the foundation, the perception, the physiology, the mathematics, the sensors and actuators, all those things now combined together, and serving a particular purpose of now creating a stunning illusion. Now that foundation is what we wanted to emphasize. So once that foundation is very strong, we can uh, add AR VR to many courses, and any higher level courses we can actually take. hardware, software, interfaces, applications. There are several application-based courses also we can develop. Civil engineering specialization, mechanical
Yeah.
engineering specialization, electrical engineering specializations. Right. Yesterday, I was talking to a electrical engineering professor. He said the students of electrical engineering had a lot of difficulty in visualizing the magnetic field, electric field in a electrical machine, in a magnetic field machines. How do we use this AR VR technologies to help them visualize this much more easily and therefore learn the concept much easily, right? So there are so much of applications coming about. Every I think uh, uh, engineering stream is going to use AR VR in a very big way. So we all have to be ready. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very, very good points. Um, and yet we don't have many VR developers. I'm scrambling to develop any just simple demos for what you're talking about, Professor Manivanan. Like just anybody who can develop simple applications to illustrate this uh, different concepts to show that it's possible. So I don't have many students who are willing to develop this kind of things. I don't know about your situation at IIT Madras, but we have difficulties. So we hope that you guys will learn enough of these foundations and tools like Unity to help build more applications. Okay.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Tarun. Tarun, I'm a final year student here at IIT Engineering Design Department. So I had more like a general VR question. So it was like, what is the ultimate vision use case that you can think of that VR will be able to solve? And the second one is, I think you must have seen the Meta AR augmented Ray-Ban glasses that was launched commercially yesterday. And have we actually gone through a big breakup because next era of AR/VR? Because I think whatever you have told in your slides also that hardware problem is sort of now we have moved to a different stage of hardware where all of them are put in a very compact space. I think definitely we don't get that much field of view, but I think still we are able to. I think this will solve different kind of use cases. So, and one more thing I want to ask is for my course project probably, if you would suggest one niche particular problem statement that is like really needed today, what problem statement would that be in the context of VR AR? Yeah,
Mm.
that was it.
Yeah. Well, you probably mentioned in terms of hardware, you're mentioning this next generation displays with some kind of retinal scanners and very light glass-like kind of displays, right? So they are around. We try to buy any recent one that we can get a hold on, and they are all in the order of $1,000. So maybe what Meta has is better, maybe, but that remains to be seen. I think was it SR1 glasses? So they're pretty light. I don't have them on my desk right now, but I had them around. That was a very interesting device. They're pretty light. They just look very similar to Zuckerberg's glasses that he is wearing, the Meta glasses. They see through, but then they also use this next generation kind of laser scanning displays, so you can see some very small field of view kind of image, and there was not even tracking, so it's not like in VR glasses, HMDs. So there was no tracking. It was very limited use case, and the worst thing was that everybody who tried those glasses, after half an hour of use, we had really severe eye pain for no reason that we can kind of understand yet. So that's so you're saying it's solved. Not yet. First of all, they're very expensive. Second, they are not going to be affordable even for what I see in the next 10 years or maybe 20 years. So maybe in 20 years it will be solved, but not anytime soon, I would say. So I hope that answers your question. Like, I really don't see it as being solved at all. I would like it to be solved. I really want those glasses, but
So I believe the future could be, using different modalities for conveying, different information. For example, can we use as skin to convey the sound information to the ear, or can we use haptics to convey the vision information? Is it possible? Is it all possible? So I think it is not necessary that only now I have to be used. They're all specialized for particular modality, but it's not necessary that that is the only way. Multiple ways of using the organ system. Maybe the upcoming, in terms of the devices, yes, the sleeker the devices, even a small, what do you call, contact lenses kind of things may be possible. Not even glasses, smart glasses. Can we have a small contact lens with which now we can program it and render it, or even further, can we go into the retina and then render it? Okay. Or even further, can we go to the, what do you call, now visual cortex and then render it? So different layers is going to come. But how many layers now the human is willing to take? It depends upon the how much value it is adding. We'll wait and see. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. So that's our stand on hardware. Like,
Yes.
it's possible. We know it's possible. The device, the hardware will get lighter. Will it get cheaper? That's a question of when, and when it will become available to the masses. That's another question, right? So all of those stages, they're still far away. But yeah, we know they're possible. But I think you had another question about what would be a project that would be meaningful, kind of, or interesting, or like would make a difference, I guess. And there are just so many. I think you can pick any visualization of concepts that would be taught in many classes, like take any topic, like Professor Manivannan was talking about mechanics or physics, and do a virtual classroom for that topic, for one particular concept in VR, and that would be meaningful because you'll demonstrate that it's possible, right? So it's there's so many, it's hard to pick one to recommend right now for me.
So I wanted to know basically where is the bottleneck right now? Is the bottleneck in the projection system, or is it the optical system, or is it the, I think the mechanical part, maybe designing the frame or thing, we are pretty good at it. I don't think designing a frame for any technology that is coming in is not a big deal, but maybe putting the micro projector and getting a good pixel for it, good clarity may be a difficult thing, or maybe to bend the lights in that optical, small optical area that you get and put it in the front might be difficult thing. So where do you think is the main bottleneck that is stopping the whole technology from moving to the next level? Is there any one particular place where we are stuck at, or is it just an equal?
I believe miniaturization is what is one thing. Of course, now optical system also. I think no, in multiple ways we are stuck when we are trying to now reduce the size of it. When we make it lighter and then smaller, there is a limitation beyond which we are not able to go ahead. Therefore, we need now newer technologies. For example, quantum technologies is coming up, right? Can we explore the quantum technologies for VR system, right? So when we go into the quantum system, how the quantum effects will will uh, will affect our the perception, right? All those things are still yet to be explored, right? So to answer your question, yes, we are stuck at multiple levels, just like the chips have reached the limit. We are also going to reach the limit very soon, right? And then we have to get into quantum level. VR, AR also will get into quantum level. Okay, we will get the quantum effects of the VR and all those things. Let us see how it goes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Can I also ask a question?
Yeah, I think we can help. Maybe one more question, right? Some point. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Paush.
thanks, ma'am. Yeah, so like I'm also like new to VR, like doing this at my institute IITM. So I just had one thing key, since like BCIs are also like emerging these days. I just wanted to know like what kind of like combinations of VR and like BCI is the industry kind of doing, like how they are like making the digital and physical interaction, like you would say, more meaningful, like, or what are the current, the main kind of like area they are exploring. I know visual, but all, like, let's say hearing touch, like where are they? And like as a like a student, I want to like get like decide if I like go more towards the like research field in VR. So can you tell like what kind of like stuffs basically the industry is doing in that respect also?
Hmm. That's a good question. Steve would be much better to answer that question about what's the current industry use of virtual reality
So I
that
think,
is related.
yeah,
Yeah.
specific question is talking about BCA and VR together. Uh, Parush, is that correct? You want to
Yes, sir.
see, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So BCI is like, if we can interact with the virtual world or even the augmented reality world and the mixed reality world, just by looking at, using the eyes is already existing. Just by thought power can we interact with the world. So that needs to be evolved, right? So the applications could be maybe uh, interacting with different computers, not just the computers but the physical entities. And there are digital twins coming up. Once you have the digital twin of a physical item, then interacting with a digital twin, you are actually interacting with a physical entity, the entire power plant or the entire industry, the component through the IoT, you are actually interacting it. So the concept of digital twins, smart cities, all these things is becoming very popular. There are standards coming up. There are industries adapting it. The industry 4.0 is becoming industry 5.0, where the human being is going to be much more important. Is the center of the entire development. So the well-being of the human being is going to be important, right? Therefore, you know, uh, therefore, rather than the uh, the industry use of it, I think the human being itself or himself, it is going to be very, very useful for developing well-being things, well-being systems, well-being methods, well-being techniques. Okay. I believe BCA is moving towards as uh, this direction, particularly if you look at this current scenario where everywhere there are a lot of wars going on without the actual human being involved. It's all remotely controlled. And then BCA is going to be much, much more useful in the war. I think that's the biggest now use case I'm looking at it I think that will involve because a lot of people are going to fight. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this, but more and more war is going to come, which we cannot avoid, and the BCA has a much more role to play in this. So every technology has a double-edged sword. It can be useful for both positively and negatively. We need to be extremely useful to use it for positive purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for answering my question.
Yeah, there has been, I wanted to add that there has been a lot of developments in using drones with virtual reality. Not BCI though, yet. So that's, as Professor Manivanan said, that's the future, of course. But so far, there's a lot of applications, unfortunately military related, of using virtual telepresence with drones, right? Using VR. So that's true. But yeah, BCI. I'm glad that Professor Manivanan answered. I really don't know industries working on that yet or using it yet. Okay, so yeah, there's some chats going on, but no questions.
So, as one of the in the chat, Amit was mentioning that it is transforming. Uh, Priksha, Pratikha has mentioned it is transforming education in every field, not just the mechanical engineering or other field as well. So I think next time when you take the course, this course may be in virtual reality. Right. So so I think what we are planning in the few years is any NPTEL course will have a virtual reality component. You can go to the virtual reality, go to the laboratory in a virtual reality and do conduct an experiment in the virtual reality and then experience it. So that way, the learning is going to be transformed. The NPTEL courses is going to be itself is transformed. I hope that is going to happen now very shortly, couple of years. And
I hope so too. Who is going to pay for this development, and who is going to be developing it?
yes, so who is paying for this our NPTEL courses? Government is paying, isn't it? Although it is now free, and the students are getting it free, and rural students are getting benefited. Similarly, the government again is going to now invest now some money so that our learning is much more experiential. Classroom learning is over now. Almost in all the colleges, nobody is learning in the classroom. Everybody is learning outside the classroom. And then therefore, now more and more experiential learning is actually becoming emphasized. And that's where AR, VR will become much more mainstream. And that is the reason we are keep saying that after this AI ML wave, AIR VR wave is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys learn well and then you can get a job. That's what I was saying. Like I see it happening. I see it happening that somebody
Yes.
will need to develop all of these demos for education. The question is practicality. Who is going to pay? And I'm glad that the government of India is investing in this. Finland is kind of behind, as I'm saying. I'm scrambling for money to pay students to do any kind of little apps. Um, but it is the future. So I think eventually we'll find sponsors for doing this because this is the future, as you said. And I'm glad that it's going forward in India. Very happy to hear.
If
Why
there
have
are
bots? Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
if there are
Go
no more
ahead.
questions, we can thank all the students. Are there any more questions?
There is one question. Why
Yeah.
hypothesis is important in VR technology by Shripad in the chat. Why
Okay.
hypothesis is important. I think hypothesis is important in any kind of human subject experiments that you want to design. So if you're working in that part of broad VR field, if you want to learn something about the human brain or the human psychology using virtual reality, then you have to go through this scientific process. And that's hypothesis is central. Again, it's like could be several courses just on that, right? The scientific process and how to generate hypotheses and how to prove it using human subject experiments. But yeah, that's when it becomes important when you work on those kind of problems.
Yeah. Hypothesis is very much important, not only in VR technologies, any research, the whole research or science in
Yeah,
VR.
but any research, of course,
Yes.
yeah.
So it starts with a
Any
hypothesis.
research,
Right.
any science, any
sort of,
real science,
Yes.
hypothesis is central. Yeah, but
Yes.
that's why it becomes important in VR technology because we are doing actual science with VR as well.
And in fact,
Very good.
much more than the science, because we are talking about understanding the human being, understanding the perception of human being, which is very, very difficult. And it's much more important than the science which is dealing with a natural object or rigid object or static object or dynamic object, which is external to the human body. So human body is the most complex object in the whole universe. Therefore, it is very difficult to understand.
Yeah, very good. The idea that future developments in VR could entail it's Amit's again comment that beamed straight into the retina makes me extremely nervous, more nervous than having driverless cars on Indian roads. Well, those devices are already available for consumers. So HoloLens has light beamed directly onto retina. So I tried them. We all try them. I'm yeah, of course we all are concerned about safety protocols, but I don't think they've been really completely studied from the safety point of view. So it's yet to be seen what is real effect on human vision. Book by Stephen is very informative. Thank you. I'll tell Steve. I want to say something that we've been doing something silly with Steve recently. We were looking at textbooks on virtual reality and what would ChatGPT recommend, and his book was #1. So that's even AI thinks that's a good book, which is very
Congratulations. Yes.
really
Even
good. Yeah, really good to know.
Yeah. So the contents in the VR textbook is much better than now the contents of the Stanford course on VR. So it is very, very informative. Yes. Thank you for providing this book.
Thank you.
That too
Thank you
for
that.
free. Yes.
Yes, we have some excellent materials, I think, to work with. So I'm glad you're enjoying the course and the textbook. And there's so much more work to do in this field. Well, this was a really good session. So let's have more in the future.
Yes,
Please
future,
prepare
yes.
you guys questions and we can meet again. Very nice.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Professor Anna. Thank you, all the students who have asked questions and who have not asked questions, also patiently listening as well. So please, we encourage you to ask more questions. Without asking questions, learning will be very limited. So please ask questions at least in the next live classes. Thank you all. Have a nice evening and then see you again soon. Stay safe.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye,
Sir.
everyone.
Good to talk with you, ma'am.
Very nice talking. And please show your faces next time. It's nice to see you. It's very nice. Bye. Bye.